They bullied him for his weight every single day. And then they had the audacity to dare him to ask the most beautiful girl in school to prom, just to watch him get humiliated. Can you believe that? But what happened next? Oh man, it changed his life forever. Josh learned early on that silence could hurt more than words. Every morning, he walked into Lincoln High with his head down, clutching his backpack like it was a shield, pretending not to hear the whispers that seemed to follow him everywhere. You know the ones, right? Whale. Lose some weight first. Why does he even bother coming to school? It was brutal. Josh wasn't invisible. Trust me, he was noticed, just never in a kind way. At lunch, he always sat alone, surrounded by empty seats like they were his only friends. In gym class, he was always the last one picked, if he was picked at all. It was like he was just floating through life, existing but not really living, you know? Then came prom season. Oh boy, that's when the bullying escalated to a whole new level. One afternoon, a group of the popular boys cornered Josh near the lockers, their grins sharp and their eyes filled with malice. "Hey Josh," one of them sneered, barely holding back laughter. "Why don't you ask her to the dance?" They all pointed across the hall, and everyone knew who she was, Emma Carter. Emma was the epitome of high school royalty. Cheer captain, straight-A student, the kind of girl teachers adored and everyone else admired. The boys were practically salivating at the thought of what would happen next. "Go on, do it," another one chimed in, his voice dripping with cruelty. "Unless you're too scared." Josh knew exactly what they wanted. It was a setup, plain and simple. They wanted to watch him get rejected, to see the look on his face when Emma inevitably said no. It was just another story for them to laugh about, another notch on their belt of cruelty. That night, Josh sat on his bed, staring up at the ceiling, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. He could ignore it, pretend it never happened, like he did with everything else. But for the first time in his life, something stronger than fear stirred inside him. It was a simple thought, but it packed a punch. Enough. He was done being their punching bag. The very next day, Josh took the little bit of money he had saved from helping his mom with chores after school and bought a simple bouquet of flowers. Nothing fancy, just a heartfelt gesture. After school, with his hands shaking and his heart pounding in his chest, he found himself standing in front of Emma's house. Can you imagine that moment? He took a deep breath and knocked, his mind racing with what-ifs. The door opened, and there she was, Emma. For a moment, Josh couldn't even breathe. I know this is really strange," he stammered, his voice barely a whisper as he held out the flowers, feeling like he was about to jump off a cliff. "But would you go to the dance with me?" The silence that followed felt like an eternity. He braced himself for the rejection he was so sure was coming, his heart sinking. But then Emma smiled. It wasn't a polite smile or a forced one. It was genuine. She stepped forward, and to his complete shock, she hugged him. "Yes," she said warmly. "I'd love to." Josh froze, completely stunned. Did he just hear that right? "What?" he whispered, thinking he must have misheard. "I said yes," she repeated, her smile widening. What Josh didn't know at that moment was that Emma had seen everything. The teasing, the cruel laughter, the constant casual cruelty. And she was tired of it. Tired of watching good people get crushed for someone else's entertainment. She decided it was time to take a stand, and wow, did she ever. When prom night finally arrived, the school wasn't ready for what they were about to see. Josh walked in wearing a perfectly fitted suit, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement, but he held his head high. And right beside him, with her arm linked through his, was Emma, looking absolutely stunning in a beautiful dress. The entire room went silent. The usual buzz of chatter just stopped. Whispers turned to stares, and those stares turned to pure shock. The group of boys who had set him up stood there, their jaws on the floor. Can you imagine the look on their faces? That night, Josh didn't sit alone. He danced, he laughed, and he smiled. A real, genuine smile, for the first time in years. He felt seen, not for his weight, but for who he truly was. It was a beautiful moment, a turning point in his life. As the night wound down, the final announcement came. The principal stood on stage, and the room buzzed with anticipation. "And now, for your prom king and queen." Josh squeezed Emma's hand, just grateful for this incredible night. He never expected what came next. Josh and Emma. The room erupted into applause. The very same people who had laughed at him, who had made his life a living nightmare, were now standing on their feet, applauding. It was surreal, but in that moment, Josh wasn't thinking about them. He was thinking about one thing. Sometimes, the world doesn't change when you become perfect. It changes when someone, just one person, chooses kindness over cruelty. And on that night, the boy they tried to break became a king. This story actually happened in Ohio. So a big shout out to everyone in Ohio, USA. And remember, be kind. You never, ever know how much courage it takes for someone just to show up each day. It's a powerful reminder that kindness can truly change lives. Thanks for sticking around and watching this heartfelt story. If it touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more stories that inspire.